We actually did get some good questions. We just had a dev meeting today as well, which is exciting because it was a dev meeting specifically about drip. Okay, I'm just tweeting it now. People still coming in. We got a good amount of people here. Okay, the tweet's out. Make sure you guys go support the tweet so everybody knows that we're doing this. Okay, the post is in the call channel. I think that we muted. I think we had the admins mute the chat. All right, we're good to go. All right, guys. So thanks for being here. People are coming in pretty fast. We have a lot of questions to go over. People sent in like over 100 questions, but a lot of them were, repeat questions. So we got it concentrated down to about 20 of the most important questions. They'll allow me to address most of the things that I would speak to anyways if I was just going to come on here and just, speak the way I typically do. So I think it's a good way to handle it. And I will start right now just going through the questions. Yeah, I could say more, but I think that I'm going to answer everything in the questions anyway. So let me just start there. And try not to get distracted by Bitcoin that is pumping. Okay. So what are the plans to get the drip out of the wallets and basically out of circulation? So one thing to consider when you look at the drip right now that are currently not in contracts, there is not a single person that holds more than 0.7% of the drip supply. This is important because it just really displays the fact that the core mechanics of drip are working, continue to work, and are very strong. So even though there's whales in drip, even though there's auto compounding in drip, even though some portion of the investors in drip are migrating over to Animal Farm because they know that Animal Farm is the newest thing to launch, so there's probably some sort of opportunity there, and people like to get into whatever the new thing is. Even with this stuff going on and peak bear market and all of that, and the auto compounding mechanic, or not auto compounding, but the compounding mechanic in drip, even with all of this, no one has more than 0.7% of the supply in circulation. And this is very important, and it just speaks to the strength of drip. Because if you look at any other kind of contract that has aggressive daily ROI with unlimited compounding, you see a major concentration of the tokens in a handful of wallets. And those are the people that got in first, and the people that are insiders or dev teams, founders, friends of the devs, all of that. And we don't see that in drip, and that's very important. Now, plans to get drip out of the circulating supply are, multifold. One of them is adding new utility to drip. So we have multiple products that we want to launch for drip that I can speak to a little bit here, but I don't want to go too much into detail because we want to develop them and put them on market first without giving away what they will be. But that is only one part of it. Another part is making it easier for people who are claiming drip to get their capital back into products and opportunities that allow them to take advantage of that drip to earn yield rather than selling it. And we have a few ideas that will allow for this, and they will be implemented. It's just a matter of executing on that. And then there is marketing and the UI, which will obviously help from an onboarding perspective, but also building confidence among holders and having them keep their capital in contracts longer and in more volume than removing them and holding them in wallets, right? So it's kind of a multifold set of ways that we can do this. But I don't want to really get hung up on this question because I can go into what all of the things that I just touched on in more detail in the following questions, and I don't want to be repeating myself. But just one thing that I wouldn't get to in the other questions specific to tokens in wallets that I do want to address in this question is the fact that we have a great distribution of holders and a very strong diversification among wallets and a lack of concentration at the top, which is great and it's important. And of course, we know we're in peak bear market. Like this is expected, right? It's expected that we would be in this kind of bear market. I was saying all the way from like 2000, maybe 2017 on the run. Basically, as soon as I bought back into Bitcoin at $4,000, I was saying that the likely next top would be between 6,000 and 65,000, 70,000, somewhere around there, because of the just that cycle that we go through where previous highs are at least 3x the former all-time high. So ever since Bitcoin price was at $4,000, I was saying that 60,000 was a great place to start taking profit and to start removing risk, because from that point on, we're likely to see a correction. And when we have these corrections in crypto, and when we talk about Bitcoin in general, it's usually a 80 to 90% correction. but then the next all-time high is at least 3x the following all-time high, which means 15 to 20x move from the bottom. So it's just a major opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity. As long as you're not over leveraged and you're DCAing in, like once you get that 70% correction, start DCAing in and not over leveraging yourself, it just becomes a major opportunity. And we need these cycles to bring in new users and to allow for people to to onboard in a significant way. And we don't I don't think that these cycles will continue like this forever, right? We're still in the early days, and a large part of these corrections are just due to the fact that we've seen greater growth than any other sector, any other market. So when you're doing, whatever Bitcoin did in the last move, or if you talk about like ETH, right, 20x, 50x, BNB did even more, I believe. When you're doing these kinds of moves and you're having this much upside, of course you're going to have a correlated correction. So the correction is also going to be significant because that's just the way that markets move. And drip is not completely removed from these cycles. So now is an amazing opportunity, just like it's an amazing opportunity in Bitcoin and all of these other assets. And we go through these cycles just like any other asset to allow for new users to come in. So, really the main thing I just wanted to say about this is the distribution of the tokens and wallets, because I think that's important when you're considering the amount of tokens that are in wallets. All right. Okay. Do I plan to add incentive for the reservoir? And is it possible to basically automate the way that drip go into the reservoir from the faucet? So people that are earning drip in the faucet, could we make it so those drip automatically go into the reservoir? And the answer to this is it's complicated, and I don't think that's the best way to do it. So the reservoir is a BNB staking contract. So in order to enter the reservoir, you're entering in with BNB. Now, in order to allow for an automated system where drip earned in the faucet automatically gets staked in the reservoir, it would require either a full rework of the reservoir, which is not possible at this point, right? We don't want to completely change all of the mechanics of the reservoir, or it would take selling drip to make BNB, in which case that BNB would then be deposited into the reservoir. Half of it would be used to buy the drip, and the other half would be used to add liquidity. And if this is the case, then that value is not leaving drip, but it's being split up between the buy and sell of the side of the order book, which would cause price depreciation. So the value wouldn't leave, but the price would be depreciating. And this is something that people, I don't think, have a good grasp on, the way that you can have an asset increase in price, but not increase in value. And you can have a product decrease in price, but not decrease in value. And of course, there's different ways to look at value, but I'm speaking specifically from a like a dollar value. And the reason why is because if that value is going into the liquidity pool from the single asset side into the paired liquidity side, you still have all of that USD value in the liquidity pool. It's just distributed in a different way that can either cause price appreciation or depreciation. And price appreciation is important. It's something I learned from, of course, I always knew this, but I've learned ways to allow for price appreciation while paying out yield in ways that were not ever done before, which I've implemented into Animal Farm, which did not exist before we developed Animal Farm. And there are, two or three strong ways to pay out yield. And one of them is through price appreciation. One of them is through paying out yield in the native asset, right? And then there are a couple other which were implemented in Animal Farm, which I think are the best ways to do it. But having it basically selling drip to then add liquidity to drip, even though that keeps the same value in drip, it causes price depreciation, and that would not be good, right? That because the average person that is just looking at the price chart, they're not taking into account how much yield has been earned. And drip has paid out more yield than any other project in DeFi. And when you consider the amount of yield that we paid out, and factor in the price, and the price moves, we've outperformed most, if not all, of other DeFi projects in the space, because auto compounding allows you to earn over 3,000x. It's close to 4,000x by the end of the year. And of course, the price has not gone up or gone down 4,000x. So by the yield that we paid out alone, we've significantly outperformed a lot of projects, but that is not that yield is not coming in the form of price appreciation. And you want yield to some degree to come in the form of price appreciation. And having a mechanic that would be automatically selling drip and using it to add liquidity, even though it would maintain the same value in the liquidity pool, it would cause price depreciation. So we want to stay away from that. And we also don't want to completely change the reservoir contract, because the reservoir contract works. This is one thing that I committed to at the launch of Drip, that the core mechanics of our core contracts will never change. And I made this commitment, and the reason why I made this commitment is twofold. One, because these are contracts where your principal is being locked. And we can't have contracts where your principal is being locked and then we change the rules after you've locked your principal. So for that reason, we will never change any of the core mechanics of Drip. And then secondly, there were so many other projects out there, and there have been so many other products out there that were good. They worked, through price cycles, prices up, prices down, they work, and they continue to pay out yield. But then the developers, for whatever reason, they get greedy, or some of them have good intentions, but they just, they can't take being in a bear cycle, and they can't take the price being down. So they try to make some change to make the price go up, and it ends up just ruining the system, either outright breaking the system, allowing for some exploits, just changing the game theory. If you have a system where people are getting their principal locked up, and then you change the rules of the system after that, it makes everybody who would consider locking up their principal lose confidence, knowing that there's a chance that they could lock their principal under these terms, and then the terms could change after the fact. So I made this commitment that we would never change the core mechanics of Drip. We will add additional layers on top of these contracts to add additional options, but the core mechanics will never change. So this is why we're not going to restructure the whole faucet or restructure the whole reservoir to allow for this kind of thing. But what is possible is a mechanic that allows people to claim their drip from the faucet tax-free if they are then putting that drip into the farm, into the drip BUSD farm, on animal farm. This is something that I believe we can do. And it is going to be significant work, right? Because there's a lot of technical implications behind it. But I think that's something that we can do. And what this does is it allows, there's an extra step when it comes to taking drip out of the faucet and adding it to the farm, that will result in an additional tax being paid. And we can reduce one of those additional taxes by making it so withdrawing from the faucet is tax-free, as long as you're being essentially forced, paired, and staked into the farm. And this way, people, and the reason why we can do this with the farm and not the reservoir is because the farm allows for LP staking. So there isn't a need to sell drip, right? People would just have to send BUSD to the contract. The contract would then claim their drip from the faucet, pair it, and stake it in the farm tax-free. It would do all of this tax-free. And then people would pay the tax when they unpaired and when they sold. But there wouldn't be that additional tax on withdrawing from the faucet. And this would encourage people to use their drip to add liquidity and get into the farm, and remove one of the barriers that prevent them from doing that. That is something that we can do, and that is something that I want to do, and that we will be working on. I just got out of a dev meeting with a very strong dev team. We've been spending the past 2 weeks interviewing devs and dev teams. We've interviewed 7 different developers. We just interviewed a 4-man dev team. We have our existing devs, and I'm going to be making some posts just letting people know that we're really looking to hire devs. And the last meeting I had was looked good. It looked like we're likely going to be bringing on these developers, and the first task I will be hiring them for is to build the new Drip UI with the Fiat on-ramp API implementation. So in order to implement the Fiat on-ramp API, it's going to take some front-end work. And I want to have the new UI out before Scratchy. And, the roadmap that I laid out was after Animal Farm, before Scratchy. And really the only barrier there was putting the right devs on the job. We have a 4-man team working right now on Animal Farm. 2 of them are full-time students. One of them also has a 9-to-5, right? And then on top of that, there's a designer, and there's a helper, quality control guy. And they basically have their hands full with doing the things that we have to do with Animal Farm right now. And we've been interviewing a bunch of different developers to see who we're going to bring on to handle this drip thing. As most people know, BB, who was my partner initially for drip, basically more or less ghosted, right? So I basically have to bring on developers to replace him, and that's not going to be a problem. But it just took time, and I've had my hands full with Animal Farm. But now that Animal Farm is largely out the door, we got a couple other things that are that need to be wrapped up from a UI perspective and like the governance voting thing, that kind of stuff. But that stuff will be finished in the next couple weeks, right? I'm saying couple weeks because I just don't want to give a date that we won't meet. I believe what we're going to end up doing is on Monday give a launch date for these things and get it out by the end of the week. But anyways, don't hold me to that yet because I want to wait till it's 100% ready to go before I give a launch date. But that's kind of the time frame we're looking at. And then after that, then I can discuss with those devs what they want to do from there moving forward, whether it's building another product for Animal Farm or wherever we go from there. But I want to have a separate team for Drip, and the guys I just interviewed are looking very strong. It's looking like that's probably who we will end up going with. And the first thing that they'll be doing is a new Drip UI and the Fiat on-ramp onboarding. And I don't want to give a time on this again because I'm not giving times on anything until the work is 100% done. But it's we're looking at a matter of weeks. Like we're looking to get this out by the end of the year. So, and when I say by the end of the year, I mean it's done. We give a couple weeks, pre-launch promo and hard push, and then we go live. So that's important. And the Fiat on-ramp is going to be a big deal for Drip because it's going to allow people to buy and sell Drip. It's an on and off ramp using credit and debit, wire transfers, and other forms of traditional financing. So that's going to be very big for onboarding, and it's going to make it so much easier. There's a couple other things that I'm going to be adding to the UI, which will make it a lot easier for the average user. One of them is the ability to access the Chrome store to be able to download MetaMask very easy, like directly on our site or linked directly to the store from our site. A prompt that automatically imports BSC to people's MetaMasks when they connect their wallet to the site if they have not already imported it. This way, someone newly onboarded, someone who knows nothing about crypto, can visit the Drip site, download the MetaMask. BSC gets imported for them on their behalf, and they can buy Drip with a credit or debit all on the site, and they're fully onboarded. And that's going to make it so much easier for the average person to get onboarded and for all of you guys to make that referral, because it's just a matter of, hey, this thing called Drip, look, it's an amazing project. It's been working for going on 2 years now through all market cycles when all these other projects are breaking and depegging and shutting down and the dev teams are abandoning them and all this. We're still paying out to this day, and we're in peak bear market right now. So now might be the optimal time to get in, and you can do it real easy. Here's how you do it. And I think it's going to make a big difference. So these are some of the things that are in the works. And really the main thing was just getting a dev team that had the skills and experience to be able to put them on the job. And my full focus was on Animal Farm for all of the reasons that we already know. And now we're at a point where we can move forward on these things. So let me just keep going with these questions. Okay, so, how the community as a whole can support Drip and add utility to Drip. So one of the major utilities that I see, and I've been talking about for a long time, but it's really on the community to implement, right? It's on you guys to really make this happen, because I can tell you guys to do it, and it would be major for Drip, major for you, but I can't go forcing people to do things. But what I see as a major utility for Drip is for team leaders to give value to their team in a way that is more than just airdrops. An example of this could be, say you're someone that's been in DeFi for a long time. You have a lot of good information. You have all kinds of strategies and all kinds of cool stuff that you can share with the community. Maybe you're a YouTuber, you make content. Maybe you're a dev and you make a cool project, whatever it is, right? Say you're a dev, you make a cool project, you want to do a pre-sale. You're a YouTuber. You can make content, good coverage of drip, good coverage of the market as a whole. You can offer these services to your team in a way that is private to your team, and you can do it in a way so just being on your team does not give lifelong access. So say I'm a YouTuber, right? And I make good videos. There's demand for my videos, and I have a drip team. I could make one private video a week only for my drip team that's private, that gets posted in our private group, our private Telegram group, you only get access to this private Telegram group if you stay net positive on your stake that's on your team. So this is what we built the team viewer for. The team viewer allows you to put in your wallet and put in different thresholds that allow you to check your team. And for example, you could say, everybody that's net positive on my team gets access to this exclusive group. You need to fill out a Google form just saying what your wallet is and what your Telegram name is. And once a week, go through your team, look at who's still net positive. If they're still net positive, you keep them in. If they dropped off the list, you boot them from the private group. And this is how you can add value to your team through content, through pre-sale allocations, through all kinds of different services, right? Everybody has value that they can provide in some kind of way, and you can give some exclusive value to your team, right? And I've been saying that this would be a great utility for people to do, and we've built the tools for people to be able to do it. It's just really on the community to start to do these things. And we can keep giving direction and maybe help build additional tools to make this happen. But there are already the tools to do this kind of thing right now. And I think especially with the fiat on-ramp, it's going to be more easy to attract people into this kind of thing. If you're a YouTuber, let your YouTube audience know, hey, once a week I'm going to do a private video for my team members that stay net positive. You'll get access to a private Telegram group where this private video will be posted, and you have to stay net positive to remain in the group. And if you're interested, here's how you can join. You can use your credit or debit card. It's easy to do. You have to deposit at least say at least, I don't know, 2 drip or something, or at least 1 drip, just to keep people honest. And that's it. And then you can just check your threshold. Okay, in the team viewer, do they have 1 drip? Are they net positive? They stay on the team, and you can just check once a week. So these are some things that you can be doing right now as a community member to provide real utility to drip. What I see as the main use case to drip is the ability to turn social capital into tradable capital and into to monetize social capital essentially. And a lot of people have been doing this already, but some people are doing it just through airdrops or just because they were early in and people need referrals. But you can really add more value to your team members, and that will go a long way to onboarding and bringing people on and showing the utility of drip, because drip has a strong utility. Its strong utility is primarily the ability to turn social capital into monetization, right? On-chain monetization. And it's already proven to be able to do that. That's why the big YouTubers are killing it in drip and have been killing it in drip. It's because they have social capital and they have something that they're offering to their team members. Now you can add, you can take this to the next level by adding by offering exclusive services and products and content for team members, specifically team members that meet a specific threshold. That way it's not just you join my team and you have access for life, right? So just consider these things. All right, let me go on to the next question. And like, I'm willing to work with people to help give advisory on building platforms and building these things to allow community members to make better use of these kinds of mechanics. And I could see someone stepping up as a side project and building a platform that really streamlines this whole thing and allows other people to do this on their platform, other people to provide exclusive content on their platform, and earning some fee associated with doing this, like a share of the referral fees and this kind of stuff. But people need to remember that Drip is a true community project. There's a lot of projects out there that say, this is my project, we did this. They take dev fees, they take high dev fees, they're earning taxes, they're collecting all kinds of money. And then the minute they start to have a bad month, all of a sudden it's a community project. Drip has been a community project from day one, which is why I never put a dev fee on Drip. I don't collect any money off of Drip. I've never sold a Drip. I make $0 off of Drip when we're talking about the core platform and the tokens and the core contracts. And this is why it truly is a community project. And people, that are investors and community members need to consider this. And I hope value and respect this and want to contribute value yourself, because you're just a big part of this project as I am or anybody else. There's a lot of people, right? Probably most people, actually no, everybody in Drip has made more money in Drip than I have, I'm sure, because I've paid something like $90,000 out of my own pocket over the past couple of years on Drip for various things along the way. And I don't take any dev fee from it. So, I think that the people that know me and the people that have been around for a long time know this, and I think respect this. There's always going to be some people that are just, random fudders. They have their own agenda, or they don't know what's going on, or, they don't know the project. But, it really is a community project. Minimum deposits, yes. So we are right now considering increasing the minimum deposits, and this is one thing that can be done to help cut down on people setting up multiple wallets. Now, multiple wallets are not a big deal, right? But there are some reasons why you would want to limit it, right? And at least create some sort of higher barrier against it. And one way we can do that is by increasing the minimum deposit. And that is something that we are considering right now. Okay. People say, all right, so the next question is, you have understandably been putting more of your focus and attention on the animal farm lately. Some of the community members may have interpreted this as a change in sentiment towards Drip. Are you yourself getting excited about the future of Drip and the things that you have coming up? Yeah. The reason why, I think this is obvious to most people who are paying attention, but the reason why we've been putting more focus on Animal Farm right now is because it just launched a couple weeks ago. So, like, of course, this is where we have the most announcements to be talking about things. This is where we need to be doing the education right now, because even the administrators need to still be educated on animal farm. It's a pretty complex project, and we have most of the people that are coming in are new. With drip, there's a strong community there. There are people in the community that can handle onboarding, that can handle answering questions, that know how to run the community. Animal Farm is brand new. That's where our attention needs to be right now. So that's where our attention is. And there's two things we could do, right? We could either not build at all, which is not going to be bullish in the long term, right? Or we can continue to build projects and utilities that take advantage and utilize drip in some way and incentivize people to be buying drip and adding liquidity to drip, which may at first take attention away from drip and migrate capital from drip, but it over the long term will have a net positive on drip because it's caused people to add millions of additional dollars into drip in the form of liquidity, which doesn't have an immediate impact on price, but helps make the price more stable. It's incentivized people to lock up more drip, which helps reduce the sell pressure on drip. It's an added utility to drip, and it acts as a foundation to allow us to continue to build things like lending and like insurance for drip specifically. We need to have something like Animal Farm to be able to do a lending and to be able to do these additional things that I want to do for drip. So this is just building a foundation that takes care of one of the major things that we needed to take care of for drip. So drip needs to have liquidity on PancakeSwap. Why? Because PancakeSwap is the main DEX on BSC. That's where all of the analytical platforms are pulling data from. That's where all of the average user that doesn't know anything about us is going to get exposure to drip. They're going to see drip. They're going to go to PancakeSwap. And having stablecoin pairing with drip is also good because the deeper our stable pool, the more disconnected we are from the overall swings of the market. So it's important that we have this incentive to be adding liquidity to drip. The only way to do that is to be partnering with some other project that would do it, in which case we give a ton of attention and a ton of our capital migrates from our ecosystem into their ecosystem just to get this utility, which we need, or we build it in-house. We do it in a super innovative way that's that is designed to be better than any other lending yield aggregating project in the space. It creates an awesome foundation that we can continue to build from, and that capital stays in our ecosystem. So the people who evolve with our developments, they're winning more than anybody, and we're not just giving all of this capital to some other ecosystem. So there's really only two options, and one of them is a slow death of drip, and the other one is we continue to build. If capital does leave drip, it's only migrating from one part of our ecosystem to the other part of the ecosystem, and when we release more products for drip and we do that, there's going to be another migration, but it's going to stay in our ecosystem, and that's what's important because the people that are in our community, they're the biggest holders in Animal Farm. So yeah, we got a migration from drip to Animal Farm. That's still a major win for our community, and it's positive for all of the reasons why I just outlined. And we need to. I'm doing what I feel is best overall, right? What is going to provide the most value for the average investor in our ecosystem, not for a specific project, not for a specific class of users, but the average user in our ecosystem over the long term. How can we provide the most value? And that's what we're doing. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be capital migration, but you need to stay tapped in and taking advantage of the opportunities that we provide as this thing evolves. And clearly a lot of people have been able to do that, and we're just going to improve on this. Now, there was a major stumbling block with Animal Farm, and that was largely due to BB, right? Like leaving the team while we were like 80% done with development. It caused delays. It caused all of these things, which definitely had a impact on Drip, right? And an impact on Animal Farm. We are addressing this by, multiple ways, but specifically to the whole like delay and the execution, and to bring back people that are kind of on the sidelines, by really tightening up our project management and the way that we're handling the management of our development team, and the way that we set deadlines, and the way that we move forward. And we're going to really prove this over the next few months. When we set a deadline, we set to launch a specific product, it launches, flawless execution on that date. And for the people sitting on the sideline saying, hey, I want to get into Animal Farm, or I want to get back into Drip, but I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines now because maybe they got out with the delay and now they're just waiting for a reason to get back in. And it's going to be these events for product releases that we schedule and we do flawless execution on, which is going to get them back in. So maybe they're still on the sidelines now because they're just waiting for something to trigger them to get back in. But we do our next delivery. We say, hey, we're going to launch this in 2 weeks. 2 weeks go by, we promote it. It goes out in those on that day that we say it goes out, and they say, oh, wow, that was a good execution. That was done flawlessly. And then we do it again. And maybe the second time or the third time they say, okay, I'm going to get in on this one. And then we bring them back in. And I'm very confident that we're going to be able to do that because our products are better than what anybody else is providing in the space right now. And the changes that we've made to our dev team over the past 6 months are significant. We brought in a very skilled and very committed project manager. We just brought on a very strong marketing advisor. We just hired a PR firm who's going to be starting to work with us in December. So it's going to take a few weeks to a month, or let's say January will be going on all cylinders, where you'll really see our power from a marketing perspective. And from a development perspective, we're putting that together now. So I'm about to give a quote to these devs that I just had a meeting with for the Drip UI. I'm sure it's going to be a quote that is good for everybody. And we're going to start moving on that and try to get that done and built in a few weeks. And then I'm going to task them with the next thing to do. And I'm going to task our Animal Farm devs to start getting ready to put out the next major product for Animal Farm. And we're going to really start pumping these things out in a way where I'm not going to say, people already know the loose roadmap on the order of things I want to do, but you're not going to hear any launch dates from me until it's done and it's ready to go. And then I'm going to say, on this date, we're going to do it. I'm going to say a month out. So, on a month from now, on this date, at this time, we're going to go live. By that point, the project will have already been done, audited, tested, ready to go. And on that date, when we hit that launch date, it's going to go and it's going to be flawless. And I think this bringing on more developers and the marketing is going to really, really change things in a major way for the better. And I'm telling you guys right now, our marketing that we have organized it's going to be better than anything you've seen in DeFi or from crypto. The PR firm that we brought on works with some of the major ETFs and major hedge funds in the space, specifically working with them to get placements on major mainstream media coaching on how to deal with the media, and managing this media for maximal capital onboarding for these funds. And that's what they're going to be doing for us. And really starting in December, but it's going to take about a month probably to get going on all cylinders. And it's going to be big, guys. It's going to be some placements and some marketing better than anything you've seen in DeFi. And the focus right now is, of course, Animal Farm, since we just launched, but we're going to have a budget for drip. That's what the fiat on-ramp is going to allow us to do to some degree, but also some of the additional products that we're launching. There's no dev fee on drip, no dev fee on any of the core contracts with drip. We're going to put a small dev fee on some of the additional options, and we're going to use that for a marketing budget so we can retain this PR firm for drip as well, and we can open up some of these marketing opportunities for drip as well. So I am excited for drip and Animal Farm, and I think that most people who are tuned in recognize why we're choosing to focus on Animal Farm right now since it just launched. It's just an obvious. All right, so there's a question about drippers getting wallets compromised. And this is really just like an education thing. Once your wallet is compromised, there's very little we can do for you. The reason for that is because we have no ability to tell if you were really compromised or if you're some bad actor trying to get access to somebody else's wallet, saying, hey, I was compromised. I need you to send this staked principal in drip to this other wallet, credit this other wallet with it. For all we know, you're the hacker. You're the one. So the only way we could say, hey, prove that this is really your wallet is by having them do a transaction on that wallet. But if the hacker already has access to the wallet, that could be the hacker doing that. And that could be the hacker trying to convince us to credit a different wallet that they only have access to, that the person who they hacked doesn't have access to. And it's basically impossible to do anything about this after the fact. Now, we are looking at ways that we can implement something kind of from day one that allows people to opt in to a form of insurance where they're getting a share of their what they earned put aside for them in case there's some sort of compromise, in which case they can choose to forfeit their stake, so their stake gets blacklisted essentially, and they get paid out this insurance fund essentially. We're working on these kinds of models, but it's something that would need to be built. It's something that needs to be a secondary option, not built into the core faucet mechanics. It needs to be something that is really, really carefully thought about and done. And it's not something that we plan on getting out the insurance and individualized lending model until next year. But it is something that we absolutely do want to deliver on. It's just we have like 5 or 6 other products that are ready to go right now. And at the end of the day, this is just crypto, and you need to be able to protect your keys if you want to survive in crypto. And it's about education. So, I think maybe one thing we can do on the new UI, put some info on the new UI about how to protect keys and that kind of thing, but without really building out whole new products, it's impossible to build in protection against this if people just cannot secure their own keys through basic good practice. And it's and then doing something like post hoc after the fact, after their wallet's already been compromised, is also something that's not really possible. So that's, it's really just about education more than anything. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a question about price, right? I never give my price predictions or anything like that. It's just not my place, right? Everybody needs to make up their own speculative decisions on where the price will go. My focus is just on building, adding utility, um, working on different forms of marketing, and adding value from a fundamental standpoint to the project. Price is something that um, everybody needs to make up their own, speculation on where they think price will go. So I don't really speak to price like that. So someone is asking about a pool essentially on Animal Farm, like pigs, that allow people to stake drip and earn a share of the fees and taxes and everything associated with Animal Farm. And this is not going to happen. And the reason why this is not going to happen is because we're not going to weigh down a a, a very solid game theory and end up damaging the ability for Animal Farm to grow just for the sake of adding utility to drip. When we're adding utility to drip, it needs to be done in a way that is not harming one of our other products. And that would significantly harm the incentive structure and game theory of Animal Farm. So, Bartertown spoke to this, and he made a post, a tweet. Actually, let me just read the tweet verbatim because I thought it was pretty good, and it makes sense. And people that are, investors in the ecosystem will understand this. Let me just go to it right now, pulling it up. So basically, what he said is, please, when you guys think of ideas for drip, stop thinking of things that will take away value from dogs and pigs and Animal Farm. Start your ideas from the place of where can we put incentives that force or incentivize the community and new investors to bring additional capital in the form of, extra bags into drip. Not how can we leech off other existing products and, severely hurt their game theory for some, for some benefit of an existing product. We always build things that are mutually beneficial for the ecosystem as a whole. Not, oh, this one is pumping a little harder right now, so let's leech this one into that one, or like that's. We're not going to do that for a bunch of reasons, right? It's not fair to Animal Farm investors. It would ruin the game theory of Animal Farm, and it just doesn't make sense. But what we can do, and what I've been thinking about, is have a drip Animal Farm partnership vault where there's a pairing of drip and the Animal Farm tokens, maybe dogs, maybe pigs, and the B&B, which is generated through the sale of Scratchy, is paid out as a reward in this drip Animal Farm partnership vault. So it would be a vault where you're able to pair drip with dogs or with pigs and earn some B&B. So this is an option that adds value to both platforms and still kind of hits that same market fit, right? So these are the ideas that we need, right? Not ideas of how can we just take existing bags and leech off them. No, how do we create new bags, new value, new utility? So I think doing something like what I just mentioned would be very, very positive for both platforms. And that's something that I'm considering. Now, potentially, there's a better way to do it. So I'm not saying that's what we will do, because potentially we think of something that's even better. But that's something that we are considering. Okay, someone's asking about Scratchy launch, and if we could potentially launch Scratchy first on Drip and Animal Farm as a proof of concept for larger projects. Well, first of all, they said for larger projects. I hope people understand that Drip gets the second highest transaction volume, and just behind PancakeSwap on all of BSC. And BSC is the most active smart contract network in the world. So, and PancakeSwap, of course, gets all that volume because it's servicing all of the other tokens on BSC. But as far as an independent project, we get more volume than anybody else. Like, it doesn't get that much bigger than Drip. It's just we're a community-based project, so all of our growth has been community-based, and you might not, because of that, maybe we don't get talked about as much by some players, but we do have a massive community that is louder than these other. Our community combined is louder than these other individual, YouTubers that are only going to promote FTX and are only going to promote, Celsius and BlockFi and these other projects that are going to wreck you. And we've seen a lot of that, right? We've seen a lot of gatekeeping. We've seen a lot of people promoting these other projects and these other platforms, and again after again, they end up losing mass amounts of money for their audience when they could have just stuck with projects that are DeFi to the core and have proven success and have proven to work. And there's going to be a shift. I already know that there's going to be a shift because Bloomberg reached out to us, and I just had a meeting with a Bloomberg journalist a couple of days ago who wanted my insight on the whole FTX situation, and I was able to use that as an opportunity to promote us. A big YouTuber who was not promoting DeFi at all. I think we're going to have an opportunity to work with him, right? So I'm waiting to hear back, but he, I believe, due to the current scenario, he wants to get back into DeFi, and he wants to promote projects with strong utility. And I believe that we're going to be first on the list there. So things are changing, right? And then another reason, let me see. So there's the economic reasons why Animal Farm and Drip need to be kept somewhat separate, right? Because they both have their individual game theory, and trying to just mash them together in a way that is overburdensome is just going to harm the growth of both products. And then also, people know that there has been gatekeeping of Drip, and significant gatekeeping of Drip. And it's largely due to a misunderstanding of the team concepts, and people saying, oh, this looks like multi-level marketing and all of this stuff. And, I could get into the reasons why we are not that. The fact that only one commission is paid out per deposit, just like Amazon, only one commission is paid out per purchase, or just like PayPal, only one commission is paid out per deposit. There's capital is not allowed to concentrate at the top because of the limitations on teams and the round robin system. The fact that everybody gets the same commission, it's not an increased commission size as you are early to the system or anything like that. And in fact, if you have more than 5 direct referrals, you get a smaller commission, and the rest goes down to your team. So it's like the opposite of a multi-level marketing system, and it's more fair than an Amazon or a PayPal referral structure. But because people are not willing to do the work, and because we get lumped in with some of these other projects that are high risk, we have been gate capped to a large degree. That's something that I believe will change as well. as people realize that DeFi is the safe option. But Animal Farm, I was very careful to learn some of the lessons I learned from Drip when it comes to what made us get gate kept on Drip, and ensure that that would not be an issue from Animal Farm. And this is one of the reasons why I created new social media for Animal Farm. Why I'm saying to people, look, keep Drip related chat in Drip and Animal Farm related chat in Animal Farm. We need to make a clear distinction between the two, because we know at the end of the day they both support each other, and a rise, a tide in the same ecosystem rises all ships. But we don't want to have Animal Farm be burdened with the same gatekeeping that Drip went through. So it's important that we set a clear line between the fact that they are two independent projects. So this is these are the reasons why we do the things we do. It's not because we're saying we're shifting sentiment away from Drip, or we're not focusing on Drip anymore or whatever. It's just, for one, because we want to create a clear distinction between the two, and because Animal Farm just launched a couple weeks ago. So that's where we need to be focused. But that's when there are opportunities to get in, right? You want to get in when the focus is off the project, because that's when you have the bargains, especially if you know things are coming. Okay. I'm going to get to like a couple more questions, because I think that we really hit on the main points here. Okay, so someone asked, he said future development will focus exclusively on projects that benefit all of DeFi. How do you see Drip as fitting into this category? I mean, do I have to answer that? Drip is one of the top most active projects in DeFi. If we create a platform, first of all, I have no interest in creating new tokens. That's one thing I have no interest in doing. So the likelihood that you're going to see another token be issued from me is very, very, very low. Right? There's a couple exceptions that I'm considering doing, just because they would add significant value to our existing tokens, and they would not be speculative, and people can kind of read between the lines there. But other than that, I really have no interest in doing other tokens. So that means anything I build from now on will be products and services that add utility and add significant value to existing projects and existing tokens. And of course, first and foremost, that will be in my mind when I'm thinking about how we can add value and how we can service products and platforms will be ours. So I think almost always we'll be, deploying them and utilizing them first on our platform, and then we will allow for them to be adopted from that point on. But it's going to fit in because I think it's obvious how it's going to fit in. Another question about compromised wallets. So yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I did have someone go through and kind of source some of these questions, but I see that they're kind of repeating now. Like another question about compromised wallets. A question about referral system, and if we would change it. No, we're going to keep the referral system. All the core mechanics of Drip are going to remain the same. We're just going to add additional utility on top, and that's important for the reasons I already said. Okay, guys. So I think what's important to know is that we have solid things coming for drip. The reason why you haven't heard me say we're going to do this now or do this then is because I'm waiting until they're 100% developed. This way, we do not have scenarios where we have delays. People know that before Animal Farm, when we said something was coming out on a date, it came out on that date, and it worked, and it worked well, and it was flawless. It was just the issues associated with Animal Farm that were specific to, BB leaving the team, me giving him too many chances because I consider him a very good friend of mine, and he's a good, smart developer, so I didn't want to have to let him go. And those kind of social dynamics, which will not be an issue moving forward. For one, because we will not have to bring in new developers halfway through, but more importantly, because we will not set deadlines on things that are still in the development process. So from now on, you're not going to see me saying that this is coming out on this date until it's ready to go. And for that reason, you just have to be patient and know that things are coming. But when we do say, hey, this is coming out in this date, which will be very soon, we'll be able to give these kinds of announcements very soon. At least at that point, okay, well, when they say it's coming out on this date, it's coming out on this date. And the new UI and the Fiat on-ramp will be next, and I want to try to get those done at the same time. So the new UI will come with the Fiat on-ramp. The Fiat on-ramp takes a few weeks to get set up. They did not start the listing process yet, because I still had some questions for them. For example, is an on or off ramp? What is the KYC? Issues. Is it a global thing? If people pay with a currency outside of the U.S., what's the exchange rate? I had questions about all of these things that I just got cleared up this week. And like just 2 days ago, I got my last final question answered on that. And yesterday, in a meeting with a project manager and marketing, we decided that it's a go. We're going on it, and now we can start making moves. And it will be about 3 weeks from now when it will go live, and we're really going to try to crunch hard to get the UI done around that time as well, so we can push them both at the same time. And to do that, it involves bringing on a new dev team, which we just had a meeting this morning with the dev team that we think we're going to bring on. That's a really strong 4-man team, and things are looking very promising from that end, from a development end. And then from a marketing end, we're set, right? From a marketing end, we're positioned very, very strong right now. It's just going to take, a month or so to really get moving on all cylinders. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. We have a bunch of stuff coming out in the next couple of days. We have a Bloomberg piece coming out next week. So it's, I couldn't be more excited about where we are right now. And where we are right now compared to where we are a couple months ago, it's night and day. I feel very, very good about where we are right now. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to sign off now. I appreciate all of you. We're going to unpause the drip chat, and we're going to get things moving. Bye. Be patient, guys. Thank you.